Recording in progress.
Welcome in to the latest episode of Betting the Pitch with your host, the real_G Warner, on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. We're 26-9, 74% in our best bets this year, and we're going to keep doing it. Tweet this out at the real_G Warner on Twitter, and if anyone wants to join live for a late night Friday edition with the real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube, feel free to throw some questions in here if you got them, or if you want me to go a little bit further. The format for tonight's episode is to go through each of the European soccer matches on Saturday, February 1st through Monday, February 3rd, and pick out some winners. I nominate one favorite bet from each of the leagues I'm covering: the English Premier League, La Liga in Spain, Italy's Serie A, French Ligue 1, and Germany's the German Bundesliga, and mash them all together for that 35 picks so far that have won 74% of the time. We're going to start in the Premier League. Just want to see if anyone is coming in. I just want to make sure. I just tweeted it out, so I don't want to go too quickly. But let's see. I think the answer is let's get going. So let's do it. And where do we start? Let's see. Let's start with where the heck is here's our numbers. Great. Okay, we'll start in the English Premier League, and this is come on. Here we go. We'll start. First matchup is Nottingham Forest hosting Brighton. What a performance from Nottingham Forest's opponent last weekend. Taking a 5-0 loss after Nottingham Forest were grinding their way into what was mentioned as a title race, potentially for a huge outsider. Well, 5-0 loss at Bournemouth, especially considering all of the limitations they had, Bournemouth did. Not a great showing, but now Nottingham Forest are a pick'em at home to Brighton. Total is 2.5, juiced almost actually all the way to under, with a lot of juice on the Nottingham Forest side. So feels to me like the market has soured on English Premier Leagues, or the English Premier League market has turned and soured on this new darling Nottingham Forest. I don't know that there was a lot of respect for Nottingham Forest because ultimately they are a low possession side that have been getting a ton of points that probably weren't fully deserved. But at this point, I don't think anyone saw the blowout coming last weekend. Certainly didn't seem that way. And then also the dilemma or drama that's involved with Brighton right now. They've really struggled to win matches. Yet this current number is asking. I mean, a Nottingham Forest push at home is enough to I think take a risk potentially on Nottingham Forest bouncing back. There are some questions about the health of Callum Hudson-Odoi, who was replaced by a weaker player, a lot less pace against Bournemouth. But to me, it seemed like Nottingham Forest, their big center backs, just had no real ability to deal with the pace of Bournemouth. And I'm not sure that anyone has really shown that so far. From a Brighton perspective, they don't really have that type of pace. I mean, Brighton are far from the Europa League side that they were a couple seasons ago. And I feel like that's an area I'd like to exploit potentially. So we'll see if this number gets cheaper. I'm not really ever in a rush to bet until I see lineups in soccer for sure. But definitely not in a rush to bet a favorite and a pretty juiced one at home until we're pretty close to the kickoff. So this is an early start, 6:30 here local time in Dallas, Texas. But at this point, we'll see what happens with this number and how it moves before I go to sleep. Though, honestly, not expecting a ton of moves overnight as it is still overnight technically in England. So I put Nottingham Forest as a pick'em on my list. I don't think I want much to do with the total. I feel like, if anything, I'll go under 2.5 in that one. Don't see a ton of goals, but ultimately, that's the big question for Brighton. Is their defense, I think, has been better. They just can't really score at this point. Move next to a big window of Saturday matches in the English Premier League. We'll start with Bournemouth, a 3/4 goal underdog at home to Liverpool. Totals 3.25, just slightly more to over. And a lot of juice on Liverpool right now. I'll be waiting and hoping and stalking Bournemouth, trying to get a full goal of insurance, as to me, that's the most key number if you're betting a side. Certainly more than 2 and definitely more than 3. Probably 3 is about as interesting, I think, or about as important for the total side. You could argue 2 as well, but ultimately the +1 to lose by a single goal doesn't help you for that late goal when they send the goalkeeper up in stoppage time, but hopefully that will happen a few times this year, though I always got to be prepared for that. I think from a Bournemouth perspective, they are about as peak valuation as they can be, but are still a pretty big underdog at home to Liverpool. I think a draw is the limit, the minimum that Bournemouth are trying to do. I think they're confident enough. They're trying to win every match. though they are pragmatic enough that they will play the strategy that they need to. Liverpool rotated completely. Andy Robertson was playing right center back, at least based on pregame lineups in the Champions League. Haven't caught that one yet, but ultimately I feel like Liverpool are about as well rested as they can be because they'll be playing midweek matches probably for the rest of the season, depending how long I guess they last in Champions League, but then also have a midweek matchup on the road at Everton in a match that's due to be made up after weather concerns postponed it way back when. So could see potentially some Liverpool eyes toward that big rivalry match. Though this certainly is not an opponent to be taken lightly. I think at this point, I'm very interested in Bournemouth getting that 3/4 of a goal. I would love to get one. I also like the under 3.25, just because I still feel like Liverpool are priced like a team that's scoring a ton of goals. They did last weekend against Ipswich Town, but who hasn't in the last couple matches? They conceded 4 and 6 or 10 in the last two. We haven't seen that from Bournemouth. And really, I think the biggest threat to this total is Bournemouth scoring probably more than one goal. And then it's probably going to be very hard to keep it under unless Bournemouth are able to win. Move next to Everton. They're a half a goal favorite at home with all the juice. Total is 2.25, and it's juiced all the way to over. They're hosting Leicester City in a battle of bad promoted defense versus a bad Premier League offense. The big question is which will take effect. And it's really hard to say. I think as Leicester goes, if they're a big underdog, I'd like to play against Everton goal scoring, which was one penalty last weekend at Brighton, and a fortunate one at that. Just a absolute, I mean, maybe an off balance defender panicking, but literally clawing the ball like right through someone and punching the ball away from someone in the box, in your own box. Certainly the way to lose matches. But I think the big problem is Leicester City. While I don't expect them to do something that stupid like Veltman did last weekend, I do think that Leicester is still they're just an awful defense, and they don't have their home crowd behind them. Plus, they're going to be having to deal with an Everton crowd. So I don't know if there's much for me I want to do with this one. Probably lean to under for Everton's side, but also lean to over based on Leicester here. So two sides kind of going in opposite directions, pulling in opposite directions for the total. And I don't think we're getting enough, only getting a half of a goal from Leicester. I do think that is pretty respectful from a Leicester's perspective. We might see this climb to 3/4 a goal. I think I need Leicester a full goal of insurance to want to get involved in that one. Move next to Newcastle, 3/4 goal favorites to Fulham right now. Juice is split both ways. Total is 3, juice all the way to under. And this is another really tough situation. Fulham has started the year off so well, but have really been struggling lately. Now they go to one of the hardest places to play, and Newcastle can score for fun there. And honestly, Newcastle looks like one of the best teams in the Premier League so far this season. That probably makes me want to avoid the 3/4 goals of insurance. Even one feels like that might be enough, but still is a scary number considering how well Newcastle can play at home. Plus Fulham just really haven't been at the races, at least not playing to their expectations, though they were, I think, did close a favorite to Manchester United last weekend. Total at 3, very juiced to under. And it's a big total, it feels, but honestly, not so much for how much Newcastle can score at home. So I don't think there's much for me to do in this one, but I think we'll move to the next in the same window, the last of the 10 a.m. Eastern time window on Saturday. And by the way, any of you that are joining live, feel free to throw something in the comments, and I will try to display it on the visuals as soon as I see it. Let's see if I can demonstrate that now right here. It can show up here. And I'll just keep going. So if anything you want to ask afterwards, of course, hit me up at the _G Warner on any platform you use. Last on this 10 a.m. Eastern time window, Ipswich Town. They're a half a goal favorite to Southampton. Total is 2.75, and we are juiced more to the under right now. Two promoted sides coming up. Southampton looking like they're already gone, dead and buried, and heading back to the championship. Ipswich Town has more of a fight, but they've given up 10 goals in the last 2 weeks. I would expect that Ipswich will probably play a lot more defensively, though they're at home, and they know this is a game they need 3 points. So this game could be fireworks. I think a lot of times when you see promoted sides face each other, that's usually a low scoring type of direction. I think I'll lean to under 2.75, but it's not a strong lean, especially because Southampton just can't help but give a goal away every match. And that just might be the ticket to get Ipswich going as they try to stay in the Premier League. Though, of course, Southampton are trying to do the same. Moving to the nightcap on Saturday, we have Wolverhampton Wanderers, a 1/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice on the road team, Aston Villa. Totals 2.75, juice really heavily to under right now. I'm interested in the home team. Wolves, to me, I mean, of course, going up a man and then losing João Gomez to a second yellow to equal the playing field at 10 men apiece. And against a team as a huge underdog to Arsenal, it probably didn't make you a favorite, but certainly made the Wolves case a lot better to at least get a point or potentially win and get a huge 3 points to climb up the table. Well, that all went sideways, pear-shaped, if you're using English Premier League terms, as a lot of the broadcasters love to use that one. But I think at this point, Aston Villa, to me, are still a team I'd like to fade away from home. I also think that they, coming off Champions League midweek, they didn't have a ton to play for there, as I think they were already automatically advanced. But still, it's another match, and it's another thing, especially with John Duran and all those rumors that he's moving to Saudi Arabia or whatever the heck. Things just don't feel great to me at Aston Villa right now. So I'll lean to Wolverhampton Wanderers getting a quarter of a goal, and I'll lean to under 2 3/4. So I think I'd prefer. The hard part is trusting Wolves to score without Strand Larson, who's injured. I guess Cunha is still there. As far as I haven't seen a report, he's gone. And Huang Li Chan is still a really great threat, but they haven't been playing very well. I think I'd lean to home underdog and under because those kind of fit together. A good chance that you might split with a good chance, I guess, to win both of them rather than losing both. But certainly not the easiest play to make on the English Premier League card on Saturday. Moving to Sunday, we have Manchester United, a half a goal favorite at home to Crystal Palace. More juice on Palace. Total is 2.5, and it's juice slightly more to over. Manchester United, they had played a pretty strong lineup, in my opinion, on the road in Bucharest, Romania on Thursday to the earliest start time on Sunday. Not as bad as the early Saturday start time, but still, I'm sure this would be a Jurgen Klopp special for complaints. And there's a lot of questions for me about Manchester United. I'd like to be against them as much as I can. Totals are starting to get a little bit smaller, but still requires 3 goals to beat me. I'm interested in Crystal Palace getting half of a goal, but I think more so in under 2.5 in that matchup. Moving next to Brentford, they're a half a goal favorite to Tottenham with all the juice on the Spurs. I can't believe Brentford's this big of a favorite to Tottenham, but I guess here we are, 2025. Total is 3.5, juice all the way to over. Tottenham did have Europa League on Thursday, and this is an early start time for them, just like it is Manchester United. And Brentford have been great at home, but man, this is very, very peak valuation for Brentford, I think. So for that reason, I certainly don't have this number anywhere near where this is priced. Let's see, try to show how embarrassing I could potentially make this. Let's see. I had Brentford as a quarter goal underdog and they're half goal favorites. So let's just say Tottenham to me seemed like a lot of value right now. And you probably see a lot of goals in this matchup, but I'm not an over handicapper despite the desires of Joe Dollar. Sorry for maybe a leopard will change his spots, just not this one as I am not a leopard. We'll move next to the late game on Sunday, and then Arsenal hosting Manchester City. Currently Arsenal a half a goal favorite. With almost all the juice on Manchester City, totals 2 3/4, juice all the way to under. Maybe you see this drop to 2.5. Manchester City had a big match in Champions League midweek. Arsenal didn't have much to worry about, where Man City were fighting their way to try to get into the knockouts. Amazing for probably one of the top picks in a Champions League pool if you happen to be in one, like I was this season. But thank you to RB Leipzig. That is a disaster. I think from a Manchester City's perspective, I mean, they have been horrible this season, and honestly it was amazing they weren't 3 behind Chelsea at home on Saturday in the nightcap last weekend, but I mean Chelsea just literally the worst finishing possible and then the worst goalkeeping, and it's amazing. That's honestly hilarious that there's a commercial that runs here in the United States about Robert Sanchez and his intelligence, he calculates things because he is a horrible goalkeeper. But with that said, Manchester City got that win. That was important, but then trailing 1-0 at halftime to Bruges heading in the Champions League. Not great. Now they go to Arsenal in a really, really tough backs up against the wall type of game because Manchester City need points just to make Champions League next season. Arsenal on the other side, they probably got Lewis Skelly's red card rescinded, but they are pretty thin, and that's what happens when they play all their best players every single match, refuse to rotate, and then complain about it. It's hilarious. Honestly, at this point, I'm interested in Man City because they're a big underdog. Their goal scoring has been there lately. I do think this is going to be a much more cagey of a match. So I'll lean to under 2 3/4, but it's not a strong lean at this point. Moving to Monday, we have Chelsea hosting West Ham United. Currently, Chelsea a 1.5 goal favorite. A little more juice on the home team. Totals 3.5, and it's juiced heavily to the under. West Ham, to me, I mean, I don't trust them at all to score goals. The problem is they're going to a Chelsea side who's wide open defensively and can score goals themselves. I think we could see a low-scoring game here. If that would probably be what West Ham would want. Probably a big match for Graham Potter as well, the manager who was sacked from Chelsea before he took this role. But man, Chelsea just seem like they're all over the place, and I feel like they're a team I'd still like to be against. I just don't know if West Ham on the road is the place to do it. With that said, I'll lean to the 1.5. And that'll be my biggest interest on Monday, especially since there are no other Premier League matches that day. As for the ultimate best bet on this episode, I'm tempted by Bournemouth because they've been playing so well. It's hard to go against Liverpool, obviously. But in terms of other options, I feel like they're a little bit weaker on this card. So I'll go with Bournemouth, that 3/4 goal underdog right now at home. I think there's a good chance we get to +1, and I'll be waiting for that certainly, and would advocate you doing the same. Let's see, any comments in here that I can throw up? Nope, but thank you for the live viewers, especially late night. Let's move now to La Liga in Spain. So we'll start on Saturday morning with Getafe as I wear their kit. Brought this back because they're one of the few kits I have of teams that aren't playing in Europe, I guess. I cherry-picked who I attended live when I went to Europe the few times that I have to watch some soccer matches. Usually I look for Champions League matches, so that's probably why it happened. But from Getafe's perspective, they are hosting Sevilla, who I did see in their home, but certainly not in the outskirts or suburbs of Madrid. Currently, Getafe, a 1/4 goal favorite at home. All the juice on Sevilla totals 1 3/4, juice all the way to over. So these are two dead under teams to me. And for that reason, I'm interested in Sevilla getting 1/4 goal. Getafe have been playing well. Another reason why I decided to don this kit tonight. But totals at below 2, I'm not looking at. There's just so much that needs to go right to have a total go under 2. You don't have that essential push. It's just not worth it to me. Juice certainly points like it'll get to 2, and I'll be very interested in playing that if it gets there. I think that'll kind of flip to more interested in Getafe Sevilla under 2 as opposed to Sevilla's side, especially considering all the juice in the world is on Sevilla right now. This probably closes Sevilla pick'em and maybe gets to 2. That's probably my biggest interest if that does happen. We'll move next to Villarreal hosting Valladolid. Currently, Villarreal, a 1 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Totals 3 1/4, juice more to the under. Real Valladolid are essentially selling every piece they can. I think they are in real money trouble. Lost a center back to Manchester City. Sounds like they would have lost a left wing back, left mid. But Moro broke his leg or something like that. So that's gone bad in a lot of ways. It couldn't even recoup some money from him. So to me, Real Valladolid are in real big trouble, and Villarreal can score a ton of goals. So that is a very bad combo for a newly promoted side trying to hang in this league. I don't think there's anything I want to do with this matchup, and we'll move on to Atletico Madrid hosting Mallorca. Currently, Atleti, a 1 1/4 goal favorite, all the juice on Mallorca away. Totals 2 1/4, juice pretty heavily to under right now. Atleti, they had Champions League midweek, and they've got a big, tough battle with Mallorca coming in. Also have not been looking great lately. Had a loss on the road at Leganés, and then really didn't look good against Villarreal last weekend with very low total in that matchup as well. We're seeing a similar total here, and I think that reflects Mallorca's struggling defense as of late, though they just really have had a bad start to 2025, and it's been pretty short alongside playing one of the best clubs in the world in Real Madrid and conceding 2 goals in stoppage time to kill in under 3. Don't think I'm recovered from that one yet, but there have been so many recently that I've already forgotten it till now. Thank you, Betting the Pitch Podcast Network, for pushing me to do this. That is my network, so I guess it's my fault. With that said, I think Mallorca getting 1 1/4 goals is interesting. I like the under even more. as a way to potentially play against Atleti, but also play on Mallorca team that's not going to score much, but will try to restrict the scoreboard for their opponent. Moving to the Saturday nightcap, we have Espanyol hosting Real Madrid. Currently, Espanyol, a 1.5 goal underdog, slightly more juice on Real Madrid. Total is 3, juice more to the over. And I wonder who Barcelona are rooting for in this matchup. I'm sure it's Espanyol. But regardless, Real Madrid coming off a trip to Stade Brestois in France. Now come back to Spain. I guess not too far of a journey, but it's a journey. Now they go on the road for a second match in a row this same week at Espanyol. Espanyol will try to keep this game as low scoring as possible. For that reason, I'm more interested in under 3. But with that said, I think I'm trying to pick my spots and try to avoid Real Madrid and fading them as much as possible because Gana Madrid, they get all the calls and it's really infuriating. Just asked Celta de Vigo in the Copa del Rey a couple weekends ago. What a joke that was. Moving to Sunday, Barcelona hosting Alaves. Currently, Barca, 2-goal favorite with all the juice. Totals 3.5. Juice more to the under. Alaves have not been playing well. They took a lead on an early penalty because they've had, I think, 3 in their last 2 matches after a big win at Real Betis and then couldn't take a 6-minute lead and hold on to it for the rest of the match and ended up drawing Celta de Vigo at home. I think Alaves here go on the road to Barcelona. They've been better. I feel like their panic sacking of Luis Garcia to grab Eduardo Coudet is not, I don't know what world they were doing that, but I'm sure there was some drama in the club and who knows who he pissed off in the board of directors room or whatever. But I'm not looking to be against Barcelona at this point. I played against them with Atalanta this midweek in Champions League. And that's a good team, and that was still scary enough. I think Alaves don't want much to do with that one because I'm not playing unders against Barcelona at this point. Valencia then hosts Celta de Vigo, coming off their pasting from Barcelona last weekend. Now they're at home. Maybe they won't play that high line again. I swear, everyone who tries a high line against Barcelona, we saw Getafe do it a couple seasons ago and get absolutely destroyed as well. Bold move by Valencia, new manager, but I wonder how much of the confidence from a win the weekend before that against Real Sociedad then went out the door from getting pasted by Barcelona. Well, it doesn't matter because they have a good opportunity to get some points here. Currently a favorite at home to Celta de Vigo. Currently Valencia, quarter goal favorite. All the juice on Celta. Totals 2.25, juice all the way to under. I'm interested in Celta and under. I feel like they've been playing without Iago Aspas, but have been, I think, pretty good without him so far. And I got to say, I feel like Celta de Vigo have certainly been on a path, a good path. And I like those, while Valencia have been really trying to do everything they can to get off the bottom spot. That looks like Real Valladolid leads the rest of the season. I do wonder how Valencia do, and I'd like to see them stay up because they do have the capital and the history, but their owner doesn't seem to spend it. So maybe we do want to see him go down and then he'll sell. Moving next to Osasuna, hosting Real Sociedad. Currently, Osasuna a pick'em at home. All the juice on Real Sociedad away. Total is 2, juice all the way to under. I think we see a low-scoring match here, and I don't know if I want to wait too long to lose this number on 2. Big push if it does land there. Osasuna very good at home. Real Sociedad, we're probably going to try to possess the ball like we do everywhere. Coming off PAOK in the Europa League midweek. Even though they're in a really good position, they still played some of their better players, but also they did rotate significantly. I guess there's not a huge difference between Real Sociedad's best and their middles. I guess they also did. I mean, it probably actually would say that this Real Sociedad side should be as well rested as possible because they even rotated their goalkeeper, which they hardly ever do. I think that does put Osasuna in a little bit of a weaker position because usually they'd have a big rest advantage here, and that's a big deal, I think. But I do think Osasuna at home and El Sadar are a much scarier proposition, and I would love to see them move to an underdog of a quarter goal size as opposed to this current pickup. I think my biggest interest is under 2 in that matchup until we get a quarter of a goal on Osasuna. Moving to the nightcap on Sunday of Real Betis hosting Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently, Athletic Club a pick'em with all the juice away. Total is 2.25, juice more to the under. I'm not really sure what to do with Real Betis at this point. They've certainly added their attacking talent back into their lineup, but it hasn't really been firing, and are still playing with Vitor Roque, who they signed from Barcelona as like a false 9 striker who they've done all season, even with some striking options that are in the team now. And of course, Borja Iglesias on loan doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But at this point, I think I'll wait to see Real Betis move to an underdog at home. That'll be of interest, especially with Athletic Club playing some of their better players. The Iñaki Williams and Nico Williams brothers played in Europa League midweek, which was a big surprise to me. So I don't really know that I want much to do with this one. Maybe see under, and potentially we see some rotation for the Athletic Club. But if we don't, that's a really scary proposition. I just want to back Athletic Club Bilbao. They just haven't been underdog in a while since really the Supercopa in Saudi Arabia, and that didn't go great. Last but not least, we go to Monday. Girona hosting Las Palmas. Currently, Girona 1-goal favorite. All the juice on Las Palmas away. Total is 2.75, just all the way to under. Girona, to me, I mean, they were eliminated from Champions League, but still kind of gave it a go and tried their best. Played a decent roster of players. I think that was a mistake, but who am I to tell them that? I leaned to Las Palmas getting the full goal of insurance. I leaned to under 2.75, as I think that both those things kind of play into Girona having potentially tired legs and knowing they're eliminated from Champions League, but still putting out an effort and not playing the youth team as I would have, because who cares? They were already gone and done, and La Liga matters a lot more. As for the ultimate best bet on this episode, I'm going to go that Mallorca and Atletico Madrid under 2.25, as to me, that's the biggest interest on this. What if I do a late switch? Late switch. I think I'm going to do a late switch. I think I'm going to go Osasuna Real Sociedad under 2. That I think we see, because Real Sociedad, while they certainly rotated their attackers, they should have their best defense available, their goalkeeper in as well. I'll go Osasuna under 2 as my best bet, actually, in Spain. Scratch that. We'll move now to Italy and to Serie A, where we'll go to a Saturday morning match, actually 2 starting 9 a.m. Eastern time here in the United States. And we will go to, let's go to Monza hosting Verona. Currently Monza, a quarter goal favorite. Did not click the right button. Let's make sure I actually get this right this time. Thank you for your patience. Yes, Verona, still a big underdog, or very big juice on their current underdog price. Verona, quarter goal underdog, minus 134 at BetOnline. If you're not a BetOnline or Sportsbetting.ag customer, go save some money on juice. Is the best place to do it, I think, across the offshores. Go check out the links to the podcast description on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Follow the links, get some money, or just hit me up directly, and I will give you a fresh new link to make sure you get your 50% sign-up bonus. It's better to use the casino's money against them, I think. But Verona, quarter goal underdog at Monza, who can't really score, lost and got clean sheeted on the road at Genoa earlier this week, saved the penalty, but that wasn't enough. Totals 2.25 on this one, which I think we see another low-scoring match. I like the Verona side, of course. In low-scoring matches, I like underdogs as well. Shouldn't surprise anyone. I think under 2.25 is my bigger interest, though, in that matchup. Moving next to Udinese hosting Venezia, and I cannot quit Udinese fast enough. I'm so happy they're a favorite because I don't play those in this league or in this sport. But Udinese, half a goal favorite at home to Venezia. Totals 2.25, juice more to the over. Just a lot of questions. Udinese, I mean, they took a lead, were in great position against Roma, and then had I guess you have to give a penalty when a player's arm is on someone and he like juggles the ball and it hits him right in the arm. I mean, I didn't think it had to be called, but it was. And then goalkeeper late. I still haven't seen a replay that changed my mind, but the goalkeeper racing an attacker, dove down, hit the ball with his glove, and then hit the player, and they called a penalty on the pitch and then upheld it. VAR just forever puzzles me and honestly cost me so much money. It's so disgusting at this point. But I guess I can't really blame Udinese because they took a lead at home against Roma, but Roma have been losing to everyone away. So I'm not really even Elfsborg in Sweden, AZ Alkmaar in Holland. Like it's at this point, I'll let it go eventually, maybe. But Venezia, I mean, I think they've been playing well. They don't really score a ton. A lot of their goals seem to come from Yohan Poyampalo on the penalty spot, but I think they're going to force the Udinese to score some goals. The big threat, the big man, Lorenzo Luca, we've seen him not start a couple matches, so we'll see what the Udinese lineup looks like. But to me, Udinese, they've just not been playing well to be a half of a goal favorite. They are missing, I think they lost Isaac Toure, who was not a good signing, was not good for Lorient, but happens to play soccer and 6'7", so everyone thinks he could be a center back. He looks done, and they had the suspension. Maybe, I guess they should be getting their new signing back, Soleil, who took a really dumb red card after Como had taken one a couple weekends ago, or Mondays ago. There's a lot that you got to figure out with Udinese, and they have problems. Unfortunately, that does bleed into the under here. But I do think a Venezia plus half of a goal on the road and under 2.25, I feel like it's a good chance you split and maybe even win both. We'll move next to Atalanta hosting Torino. Currently, Atalanta, 1-goal favorite with all the juice right now. Total is 2.5, and it's just a little bit more to under. I think at this point, I'm not really trying to be against Atalanta. I just want to back them as an underdog. It's just rare that I have that opportunity. Torino can't score. Atalanta can. Atalanta have been more defensive, I think, this year. So maybe there's some interest for me in under 2.5, but it's not strong at this point, I don't think. To the nightcap, Bologna hosting Como. Bologna coming off Champions League, and I feel like they played a better lineup than I would have expected, considering they were eliminated. But they are 0.5-goal favorite now at home with all the juice to Como. Totals 2.5, and it's juiced very heavily to under. Feels like a lot of respect for Bologna, and I'm surprised by it. Como, to me, I mean, they've been respected by the marketplace all season, and I've been, I think, having some success going against it, not so much lately. And for that reason, I'm interested in joining the whole world that's on Como all of a sudden. I lean to that 0.5 goal, and I like under 2.5. The biggest question is Como, if they can keep a lead, because they get them. They just don't really hold on to them very often. So I think the 0.5 goal is a bigger interest to me than the under 2.5. Moving to Sunday, we have Juventus hosting Empoli, coming off Champions League themselves. Juve, a 1.25 goal favorite with all the juice. Totals 2.5, and juice is split both ways in that one. Feels like a big total. Empoli on the road certainly is not going to threaten the goal too much, though Juve have not been keeping clean sheets as of late. I think the Juve goal drought was over and then got a little bit better, and they've been scoring more. And the addition of Rando Colomani on loan, I believe, from PSG is huge because he adds a striker and they haven't had one. Big question is Empoli, honestly, how much are they going to score? Because Empoli have been doing that. I think I'm more interested in the Empoli side because they've been showing they can score goals, especially getting more than a goal of insurance, though it doesn't really fit as well because I think always I want to play unders with Juventus. I don't know. I mean, if you really want to back Empoli, I think it probably makes sense to go side and total under, and then hope that Juve struggle offensively yet again. Man, it's a really early start too. I guess it's not on Saturday, so it's potentially a little bit more time for Juve, and they are at home. But Empoli, I mean, they are, in the past, they've been only defense, and they've been so much better this year. So I might be more interested in that 1.25. Moving next to Fiorentina hosting Genoa. Currently, Fiorentina 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Totals 2.25, juiced all the way to over. Might see 2.5 here. Might see Genoa climb to a 1-goal underdog. Fiorentina with a great performance on the road at Lazio last weekend. The big question, because they follow that up twice in a row. And Genoa, their defense has been awesome, especially ever since Patrick Vieira got there. I don't know if it was just him or if it's kind of worked out, and they've been kind of riding that wave. I think until we get a full goal of insurance, I'm a little bit scared to play Genoa offense away, but they've been playing well. I lean to under 2.25 and potentially under 2.5 is my biggest interest in that matchup. Next to the Derby de Milano, or whatever we should call it. The Capitale, I believe, is Lazio Roma. So the Derby di Madalena, I think. AC Milan hosting Inter with 2 victories against Inter so far this season. They share San Siro. I've been there a couple seasons ago. Awesome place with a lot of great food vendors outside, which is cool. Prego, as I would always say. But I think Milan, a 0.5 goal underdog with a little bit more juice. Totals 2.75, just all the way to the under. Eventually, Inter is going to get revenge, right? I mean, that's the biggest question here. I think Milan is the 0.5 goal underdog, has some value at home with the home crowd because they don't split the stadium, which would be really cool. But they should be giving out Milan tickets, and Inter will try to fight their way in. For that reason, I like the 0.5 goal. The total is tough for me, and AC Milan have not been great. But they have against Inter. They've somehow have basically kept Fonseca's job the first time they played, only for him to lose it. But then the comeback win in the Supercoppa d'Italia in some place in Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, I believe. That's got to add some confidence. Pulisic is important to the team. Rafael Leao seems like he's staying. All those sort of things have worked out in the right direction. We'll see what the lineups look like. But I lean to Milan getting 0.5 goal. To the nightcap, we have Roma hosting Napoli. Currently, Roma, a 1/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2.25, juice almost all the way to over. And the Roma have been great at home. I had a big win against Lazio when the teams were going opposite directions, and then have played really poorly away, and then had Europa League midweek with Eintracht Frankfurt coming in, and I think playing a pretty good lineup for Eintracht. It's surprising because they were a big underdog and didn't really have much to play for, honestly. I think they were already locked in their first round bye in the Europa League, but c'est la vie. Napoli going to try to control this game, and they're going to try their best to keep Roma from scoring. That's essentially the Conte way to control. I lean to Roma getting a quarter of a goal. It's been a while since I've wanted to back them, but lean to under 2.25 as well. To Monday, we have Cagliari hosting Lazio. Current Cagliari, a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 2.5, juice a little bit more to over. Lazio have been, to me, a very up and down team, very up for, I don't know, what felt like till Christmas, and have been on a downward trend trajectory. Maybe haven't been able to keep up. And the injury to Nuno Tavares doesn't help them as a left back. And ultimately, Lazio look a lot more average. Cagliari, they're going to do their best to muck this game up, though they're a little bit more aggressive at home, it seems. I think Lazio are not the team to try to be aggressive against, but I lean to Cagliari as a home underdog, and I lean to under 2.5 in that matchup as well. For my best bet in Italy, I'm going to go with Como, getting half of a goal. Love their situation, considering Bologna coming off Champions League midweek. Now we'll move to Ligue 1 in France. Any comments you want to throw them in here, feel free to go through. And as soon as I see them, I will respond to them. We'll start with Stade Brestois hosting PSG. What a week. Hosting Real Madrid in Champions League and PSG back-to-back. I mean, it's nice they're both at home, but wow. Stade Brestois currently a 1.5 goal underdog at home. Total is 3. I think I'm more interested in the side, the 1.5 that Brest will get, as I think they play well at home. And I think PSG have been teetering, whatever the word I should say. They dominated Stuttgart in the first half in Champions League, took a 3-0 lead and looked really good. But probably if Stuttgart were a little bit more coherent to a corner kick and potentially played offside a little better, maybe things were different. I think Stade Brestois, they're going to do their best because they are a thinner, lower budget squad, but they've done really well with balancing their depth this year. What a job by Iroquois. I think for that reason, I'm interested in betting against PSG, as they have been really good against equals so far in this Ligue season, against Marseille's and the Lilles of the world. But at this point, I think Stade Brestois are still looked at, and I don't know that PSG gets that excited for this one like they do for Champions League, for example. I think I like the side more than the total, but it certainly correlates to Stade Brestois, a low-scoring game, to hit the under and the underdog. To the next matchup, we'll go to Monaco, coming off Champions League themselves on a road trip to Inter. Pretty tough spot, but at least they come home for a quarter-filled stadium, Stade Louis II, for the visit of Auxerre. Total is 3.25 right now, just split both ways, and Monaco a 1.5 favorite at home. I'd like to be against Monaco, especially in a tough situation for them, but Auxerre have been horrible. And I've backed them a fair amount this year. To me, they came up into Ligue 1 from Ligue 2 as champions, wanting to score goals and outscore everyone. That hasn't really happened much lately, and they've been better defensively. I don't know if that was a huge change or if that's what their opponents have forced them into. I'll lean to the underdog here, both the 1.5, and I like under 3.25, especially it's above 3. But man, I don't know, because Monaco really haven't been scoring as many goals as I think their reputation that precedes them. So lean to under 3.25, maybe my biggest interest there. To the nightcap on Saturday, we have Lille hosting Saint Etienne, coming off their Champions League midweek. Lille a 1.25 favorite with more juice. Totals 2.75, juice all the way to under. Saint Etienne, the biggest question is how are they going to perform away from home? They've really taken some big beatdowns. Lille can certainly do that, but I don't know how Lille they haven't really been performing great since the restart in Ligue 1. They've been, I think, doing well in Champions League and got a nice cover on the road at Liverpool, but did lose from an equalized. They fell behind, equalized, and then lost 2-1. Big question is how are they going to play as a big favorite? And Saint Etienne will probably help. Saint Etienne have been better under their second manager. For that reason, I'm interested in them. I'll lean to under 2.75, though. Man, that's a scary one to play. Moving to Sunday, we have Toulouse hosting Nice. Currently, Toulouse, they pick them with all the juice right now. Totals 2.5, juice is split both ways. Nice pretty much gave up on Ligue 1, I guess, or excuse me, on Europa League because they were eliminated, and it worked out well for them. Got a big win against Marseille last weekend. Now they're going on the road to Toulouse, who took a big loss to Montpellier. Man, Toulouse, I mean, they look like a great underdog, really scary favorite. This is a pick 'em right now, so hard to argue which one that one is. But Toulouse at home should ride their crowd. I think Nice, they should have rotated, didn't rotate as much midweek as I thought they would have. It's amazing to me. Like, if you're dead and eliminated, you should be focusing on the league, but I guess there's more pride involved or something like that. Or maybe you're trying to, I don't know, find some momentum. But I'll lean to Toulouse, pick them at home, though I don't know that I like it that much. Move next to Stade de Reims, hosting Nantes. Currently, Reims a quarter goal favorite at home with more juice. Totals 2.25, juice all the way to over. Nantes have been awesome. Had a great late equalizer at home to Olympique Lyonnais. I ended up laying off a total last minute, I feel, but could have been winners on both directions in that matchup, but did win with that late goal. Thank you, Mohamed. I think Reims, they are a goal-scoring team that's kind of been not scoring as much lately. And I think that plays into Nantes' hands. I think I probably like Nantes under 2.25 more here, and we might get 2.5 before kickoff. But Nantes has been playing well. I think as a quarter goal underdog on the road, that's probably giving them too much respect. But I guess I don't hate seeing that the Ligue on market does like Nantes in this matchup. I'll lean to under 2.25 is my bigger interest in that one, though. Stade Rennais then hosts Strasbourg. Currently Rennes a quarter goal favorite at home with all the juice. Totals 2.5, juice more to the over. Strasbourg, I mean, they're the quintessential young team that makes horrible mistakes, and sometimes they recover from them. Sometimes they have big leads and they can't. I don't know what to do here, but Rennes have been awful, and Jorge Sampaoli doesn't seem like the right manager anywhere. Maybe with a good team. Didn't work at Marseille, didn't work at Sevilla. I don't think it's going to work at Rennes. They are really trying to figure out what the heck to do, and I don't think that's a good hire. Therefore, I'm interested in Strasbourg in that quarter of a goal. Would love to see it move to a half, as it's certainly trending that direction. Next, we'll move to a big battle at the bottom with Le Havre, who have somehow maintained a Ligue 1 position, and Angers, who've come right back from Ligue 2 after being relegated 2 seasons ago. Angers, a half a goal favorite at home. All the juice on Le Havre, totals 2.25, juice all the way to under. Earlier this season, I think I would have been all over Le Havre in this one. I love Angers right now. I thought they played really well on the road at Lens last weekend. Deserved better, covered the spread, and hit the under, which I laid off both of them, sadly. But Angers are a team that I almost feel like I hope that they take a injury-free loss in this matchup. Maybe something unimpressive, goalless draw, 1-1 or something like that to keep the momentum going. But I think this Angers team is going to pull some upsets, or at least it's going to be a great underdog later in the season. Le Havre don't really play that way. They've been horrible lately. I think my biggest interest in this matchup is under 2.25, though it is a little difficult because I don't trust Le Havre to score. I don't really trust their defense as much. Angers do have some talent. I don't know that they can really score 3 goals themselves, though. I mean, I guess they could. Things get out of hand pretty quickly in soccer matches. But I think ultimately, you could argue this is a big battle at the bottom, but Angers have been playing like a team that deserved to be in the league, and Le Havre have not for a long time. So the scary thing is if you're playing under, you're kind of backing the underdog unless you just really think they're not going to score. Last but not least, we go to the Olympique Derby, Classique. No, that's PSG and Marseille, I believe. But anyway, whatever we call this, Marseille are hosting Lyon. Currently, Marseille, half a goal favorite at home. All the juice on Lyon. Total is 3, just more to the under. Lyon had Europa League midweek, though they had already kind of clinched where they needed to be. Marseille coming off one of their first setbacks away, as they had, I think, the highest 2.7 points per road match in all of the top 5 European soccer leagues. So this is a big battle here. Lyon certainly more weary. Doesn't look great like a setup there. Though I'll certainly look in more into who they played in Europa League on Thursday, how they rotated and such. Marseille going to be much better rested and at home, though the Stade Lens Velodrome has not been very kind to them, certainly as the support will sometimes be that way. Man, I feel like I'd like to be on Lyon because I'd like to be against Marseille, but it is not a great schedule setup for that matchup. For my best bet in Ligue 1 in France, I'm going to go with Stade Brestois, a 1.5 underdog at home to PSG. Scary one. Certainly hold your nose for that one. But I do like the idea to fade the Parisians, especially coming off an important Champions League match. Last but not least, we go to the German Bundesliga, which we could have had a 6-0 last week if not for 2 stoppage time goals, both last kick of the match, 92nd minute in Augsburg and who was it? And Heidenheim, I believe. Kevin Schlotterbeck, who got a goal off a corner kick for the second goal of a corner kick on that match after 0 and 86 attempts so far this season. And right on 92 minutes as 90+2 was the end of the game. Brutal. But I guess I need to be prepared for it, especially because it happened again with St. Pauli, who had scored 3 times in a single match the entire season and 8 home matches. Had been shut out 7 times, and they scored 3 themselves after Union Berlin basically gave up late and had a lackadaisical step out of bounds, gave up a throw-in, back heel, deflected goal in for 3, and that was the last kick of the match, 93rd minute of 4-minute stoppage time because they celebrated, and they just didn't even push the game further. So I'm hoping that we can get some that go the other direction just as an underplayer. It doesn't happen. And those of you that are watching live, if you have any comments, feel free to throw them in. And I will reply or hit me up at @thereal_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. And I'll reply in some form or fashion at some point. Okay, start with the German Bundesliga. We'll go to VfL Bochum hosting Sportclub Freiburg. The team I follow closest in the German Bundesliga. And I haven't done it in a while. I guess I'm way behind, but I had been keeping up week by week with Freiburg and playing a match for every match day. And I think I was doing pretty well. So I'm definitely way rusty now. Anyway, Bochum, a pick 'em right now. More juice on Freiburg away. Total is 2 3/4. She's pretty heavily to under. VfL Bochum are a good home team. They certainly are. But they are, they're required to win here at a pick 'em. Maybe they'll move to underdog. That's what I'll probably be waiting for. But I'd like to be against Freiburg, who are sinking like a stone. They have not been good. They were outplaying their abilities. The problem is their defense has been really bad. But Freiburg are really good against the weaker competition. I'll put it as bluntly as that. They struggle at the top, I guess, because they just survive and rely on being out physicaling teams and rely on a bunch of shots to find goals. They don't get those against the big clubs. They should have plenty against Bochum, especially because Bochum seem to be a very defensive side this season. For that reason, I'll put under 2 3/4 on the list. I would love to see Bochum move to a quarter goal underdog. I don't know that we'll see it, but certainly be waiting to see if that happens. Moving next to FC Heidenheim hosting Borussia Dortmund. Currently Heidenheim 3/4 goal underdog at home with more juice. Total slightly more juices to 3 as well on the total. Borussia Dortmund, this is their chance to potentially find a way to win on the road. If they can't do it against Football Club Heidenheim, then are they ever going to win? And they're a pretty big favorite, 3/4 goal favorite. So they got to win by 2 goals to take my full unit. For that reason, it's going to be hard to keep me off Heidenheim, who honestly have retooled their entire team with loanees from Bayern München, essentially. This new guy, Kratzig, he looks like he's 12, but he's really talented and is playing left wing or left back, depending on what's needed. I imagine it would be left wing, and they'll add more defensive help. But that late goal was brutal against Augsburg. I think it probably puts Heidenheim in a better position. Crowd should be big. It doesn't seem like that's big enough to impact Borussia Dortmund, but anytime they don't play in front of the yellow wall, they're impacted. So give me Heidenheim, 3/4 goal underdog there. Move next to St. Pauli, quarter goal favorite to Augsburg, 2 teams that scored at the last kick of the match to kill my multiple unders last week, or 2 of them. Literally was going to be a 6-0 perfect Bundesliga weekend. And I'm going to try to focus on that 4-2 and try to make it close to that 6-0 this week. But Augsburg, quarter goal underdog at St. Pauli, totals 2 1/4, juice more to the under. More juice on the home favorite here. St. Pauli, like I said, they've scored 3 goals in 2 matches at home and 0 and 7. So I'm not expecting goals. Augsburg are a defensive counter setup and they're just a counter press, gegenpress side. I don't trust them to really score goals. I don't trust St. Pauli. So I guess I lean to Augsburg in that quarter of a goal, but I lean to under 2 1/4 more in that matchup. Next, we go to Bayern München hosting Holstein Kiel. Murdered them the first time they played in Kiel on top of Germany. Now they go down to Bavaria. Good luck to Kiel. They are 3.5 goal underdogs right now with all the juice. Total is 4.5, juice slightly more to over. Bayern played Champions League midweek. Who cares? They're going to murder this team. I want nothing to do with this. So we'll move on to Stuttgart hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach with a big response, planned after their poor first half to PSG at home in Champions League. Currently, Stuttgart, a 1-goal favorite at home with almost all the juice on Borussia Mönchengladbach away, which is saying something because Gladbach have been so bad away, but you got to give them a full goal of insurance, I guess, to get some interest. So I'm interested there. I also like under 3.25 because Stuttgart are a team that wants to possess the ball and not let Borussia Mönchengladbach have it. I think that will end up protecting Gladbach because they will be without the ball and won't be caught in counterattacking situations, though at the same time, I think Gladbach, they've shown their true colors. If they were a Borussia Dortmund level team, they'd probably get clowned as much for their road record, but they're not, and they're far different. But that's a good situation to get Stuttgart coming off of a must-win game with PSG in Champions League that were trailing 3-0 at halftime. To the last game on Saturday, the Topspiel. We have Union Berlin, a quarter-goal underdog at home to RB Leipzig. Total is 2.75 this matchup, and it's juiced more to the under. Union, quarter-goal underdog at home. I think that's probably the way I'd want to go. I just don't know that I can trust Union to score. Therefore, I think under 2.75 is more interesting to me. I like the idea of fading Leipzig, especially after their last Champions League match, though they had no reason to play anybody. I think Leipzig have shown that they are about as inconsistent as the weather. Union are about as consistent because they can't score, and their defense is about the inconsistent part. 2.75 feels like a really big total here, bigger than it should be. I understand that it probably can't make it much lower. I don't think 2.5 is crazy. It's a little more juice in that direction, but would love to get a 3. Doubt we'll see it. I just can't trust Union to score goals. Jordan Sivachu, or P. Falk, or whatever he goes by, the American, he's just can't score. And unfortunately, there's not a lot around him. And I wonder if Stefan Baumgart's going to move to a 4-man back line because he tried it before. It went horribly wrong. Union are known for 3-man back lines and playing the same brand of football, no matter the manager. I wonder if he's going to try to change that and if he will be out of there sooner rather than later. Move to Sunday. Eintracht Frankfurt. They are hosting Wolfsburg. Currently, Eintracht, a half-a-goal favorite at home. All the juice on Wolfsburg. Totals 3.25, just all the way to under. It shouldn't be a situation where Wolfsburg could take advantage of Eintracht Frankfurt being tired because they shouldn't have played their best players in Europa League match. But pretty sure I remember seeing who YTD starting and all their other important players. Wolfsburg, to me, are a perfect counterattacking setup. I love what they do. Half-a-goal underdog on the road is not huge, especially a very juiced one at the moment. Might see a quarter here, and that might keep me off. I thought they're great, but they are inconsistent and still have a gaping hole to plug in Omar Mamouche. As an underdog at home to Borussia Dortmund, of course, that makes sense, but this is a different situation here. Got to win as a favorite. So I'll lean to Wolfsburg in that half of a goal and under 3.25. Last on this list is Bayer Leverkusen, 2-goal favorites to TSG Hoffenheim. Currently, Leverkusen, a 2-goal favorite. I just said that. All the juice on Hoffenheim, sorry. Totals 3.5, just more to the under. Hoffenheim, I mean, they fought back to draw Eintracht Frankfurt last week. It was awesome. They got some good offensive play. Are we going to see that again? Probably not. Leverkusen they have flaws themselves. I mean, we saw them 2-0 up on Leipzig last week, and they couldn't hold on to it. Then at Champions League midweek, I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't going well in the Leverkusen direction. And Hoffenheim getting 2 goals is gigantic. I don't think I can look past that. So I'll put that on the list, getting +2. And I guess that correlates to under 3.5 as well. Man, I just don't. I mean, Leverkusen, every time they take a lead, they should just, or especially a 2-goal lead, they should just go and shut up shop. They've shown they can do it, and I don't know why they won't. But Xabi Alonso not looking like the same manager, and he got really lucky last year, so maybe that's how it went. For the ultimate best bet from this portion, the German Bundesliga portion of the show, thank you for all of you coming in live. If you've got any questions, throw them in now because we're not going to be on for much longer. We're already gone 53 minutes, and I'm surprised my voice even held up so far. Maybe that means I'm finally full health, maybe-ish, about as healthy as a sick person could be. I think so we're going to do the ultimate best bet coming up shortly. I got to figure out who my German Bundesliga pick is, and I want to make sure I get that out for everyone as soon as possible. I do feel like, especially with Sunday, we have a little bit more opportunity. Though I think pretty much all of the picks so far have been on Saturday, which has been good to avoid the NFL of late, but there's a huge college basketball slate tomorrow. Actually, big one Sunday too, to be fair. For the ultimate best bet coming from the German Bundesliga, man, I just got to do it. I'm going to go Heidenheim, 3/4 goal underdog at home to Dortmund. Let's see Dortmund do something away from home. I'll pay to see it. And that'll be my ultimate best, or that's my best bet from Germany. We'll see if it makes it to the ultimate best bet portion of the show. So what we've done so far, we've gone through each of the top 5 European soccer leagues: England, Spain, Italy, France, Germany. Arguably, you could say Holland and the Eredivisie are up there, but I've been doing France forever. And everyone, as they say, as an audience song, I don't know if anybody are DJ fans that are listening to this, but there is a song called "People Do Not Change," and it's true. Especially trying to convince your girlfriend to change doesn't work. I think what you could see on this channel. So we will have an NFL podcast, I think, coming out Sunday night for the Super Bowl. Sorry, that has not come out yet, but schedules be schedules. We're trying to do a props episode. If you'd like a props episode, please tell us in a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube and throw it in the comments somewhere, and we'll try to get that out for you. That's probably the harder thing to schedule. We will be doing a Super Bowl episode, trying to give you an idea on the side and the total. But we'll probably come back and try to do a props episode as we can, as time allows. Did the Need for Seeds College Basketball podcast with Big East Ben. Record that tonight. We'll be doing Mondays and Fridays out on the pregame.com stream. Pregame now on Twitter if you want to find it there, or wherever you get your podcast. The RJ Bell stream preview. That'll be out Mondays and Fridays the rest of the season until the Final Four in April. Try to do San Antonio live if we can. Other than that, I guess stick with it for the midweeks, which will be a lot thinner after we get to the knockout rounds, but we got a long way to go in those competitions, and look forward to that. So I think it's time to stop stalling. Let's get into the ultimate best bet portion of the show. Thank you to those of you that have hung on this entire show. I really appreciate that. And let's see if we can improve on 74% this year. Hey, this is the real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet from the Betting the Pitch podcast. We're 74%, 26-9 so far this year, 74.2857, whatever percent. I'm going to try to improve on that with a pick from each of the top European soccer leagues. From the English Premier League, I like Bournemouth, 3/4 goal underdog at home to Liverpool. I like Osasuna under 2 in Real Sociedad Osasuna in La Liga in Spain. In Serie in Italy, I like Como under half a goal underdog at home. In French Ligue 1, I like Stade Brestois, a 1.5 goal underdog. And then German Bundesliga, I like Heidenheim, a 3/4 goal underdog at home to Borussia Dortmund. But for the ultimate best bet, 26-9, 74% so far this season. I'm going where the money's been made already, and I'll pay to see Borussia Dortmund go win on the road. Give me Heidenheim. Give me their Bayern München young prospects that are all littered across their starting lineup now. Give me Heidenheim, a 3/4 goal underdog at home to Dortmund. Wait, you might get +1, but I'll take 3/4 right now. That'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your Friday evening, though it just turned to Saturday here in Dallas, Texas. Got any questions, comments, thoughts, process? Thanks for all the support, of course, across all the social media platforms at the real_G Warner. And go check out my Patreon, patreon.com/real_G Warner if you want plays across all sports and you want them in your inbox and you want notifications and you want them as soon as I'm locking them in.
Recording stopped.